Talking of entertainment, you better believe it. How about you get your car, you turn it upside down on your head, and then you race it for the popular 24-hour Le Mans race? How would you do that? I have absolutely no idea. But the guy who's going to explain it all to us is Sergeant Jeff Bloch. He's also known as Speedy Cop. Jeff Bloch, thanks very much for joining us.
Good morning, Michelle. How are you?
Where am I actually calling you right now?
It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm in Maryland in the U.S.
Whoa, Maryland, 3 a.m. in the morning, and you still sound like you are just about awake. If I could virtually send you a cup of coffee right now, Jeff, I would do it. So we appreciate you getting up so early in the morning. Jeff?
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
First of all, describe this upside-down car. What actually is it, and describe what it looks like for our listeners.
Well, it's a 1999 Camaro that I've literally flipped upside down and placed a small Ford Festiva inside of it so that it can actually drive. So it just looks like a Camaro that's rolled and it's on its roof, but it races that way.
So basically, it's a Ford Festiva, which is upside down, and it's being driven by a Chevy Camaro.
The other way around.
Oh, so the Chevy
Camaro is a much larger car, so the Chevy Camaro is the car that's upside down, and the little Ford Festiva is hidden inside of it.
Oh, jeez. How did you actually put this together, Jeff? I mean, just explain the process.
Well, it started with I had to find both the vehicles, and I actually racked my brain to decide which vehicles to use for this project. And once I settled on these two, then I went out and found them. The Camaro had to be skinned of all its exterior body parts, and then the Festiva had to be prepped for the race with the roll cage and racing seat and harness. And then there's almost 200,000 miles. It needed axles and a tune-up and things like that. And then the Camaro body had to be recreated with a steel framework so that it was just the exterior shell in one big piece. And the way we made it, it actually sits down over the Festiva and sits on top of it with just 4 pins. So you can remove the entire Camaro, wheels and all, in just a few seconds.
It is the weirdest looking thing. I mean, if anybody goes online and you look up YouTube upside down car, you just go and look for the upside down car. Or Speedy Cop. Look up Speedy Cop, which is Jeff's acronym. So, and what you see is essentially a car with its wheels in the air, so it's on its roof, driving around the racetrack at Le Mans. Now, Jeff, the Ford is not exactly a speedy car in its own right, so I imagine that you're not exactly doing this because you want to win the race.
Well, I do like to win the race at times, but I sometimes bring cars that are just high-speed cars to go fast and try to win. And very often I bring cars that are totally unique and unusual because I love to create new things that have never been done. And this is just one of those. It's just something that's never been done. Back in March, I debuted a 1956 Cessna airplane, an actual twin-engine Cessna airplane that I converted to a race car after it had been abandoned for 40 years at a local airfield. And they were going to scrap the plane. It was a beautiful fuselage, so I turned it into a race car and raced that. And just another thing that had never been done. That's what I kind of like to do. So I'd like to have people look at it and just say, wow, that's really cool. That's never been done. That's just amazing. And versus just yet another BMW or Porsche race car.
So, Jeff, who actually is Speedy Cop? I mean, we know it's you, but you sound like a real quirky, crazy kind of a guy.
A little both, I guess. I've been an officer for almost 18 years. I supervise a police district that's actually rather large. I have 6 officers under me. And my day job is it's challenging, and I absolutely love it. I always wanted to be a law enforcement officer, so that's what I've done. And it's very rewarding. But I work 12-hour shifts, so I'm off 3 or 4 days a week, and that gives me plenty of time to create new race cars. And actually, for this series, I've built 17 cars now in the last 4.5 years, so I've been very busy.
Okay, you mentioned the Cessna. We've just spoken about the upside-down car. Any other cars that you've put out onto the Le Mans track that have made people perk up their eyes and their ears and go, hell, what am I looking at?
Well, besides the 27-foot-long, beautiful, tallest aluminum aircraft, the Cessna. There's been some interesting ones. Last year in New Hampshire at the NASCAR track, I raced a pop-up camper, literally a 12-foot pop-up camper that you couldn't see the little car inside of it. All you saw was a camper with a hitch and what looked like 2 wheels in the middle on the side. And it raced like that. And it was magnificent. And what was funny was the track workers, the NASCAR track workers, had no idea But this camper that was in the pits was going to be a race car. It was just another camper in the pits. So when it started up and drove itself onto the track in the morning for the race, they freaked out. It was hilarious to me because I'm driving around the track, watching one after another the flag stands that I come to, seeing the occupants just freak out, stop waving the flags and just freeze and just look, the jaws drop and the eyes pop out. And the next time I came around, they all had their cameras out trying to record me while they're waving their flags. They were just dumbfounded. So, I mean, it's very entertaining to get that kind of response. I've gotten that a number of times now with different builds over the years. We've raced a pink 61 Cadillac, raising money for Susan G. Komen. We raced a red 63 Thunderbird that I had 3 different drivetrains in, one of which was a BMW V12 that I converted to carburation myself, which is quite the ordeal, as you can imagine. There's been some very interesting cars in the past year. We actually jacked up a 1980 Bonneville, which is a big old American car, put 22-inch wheels on it, and painted it bright yellow and raced it like that. It was another big hit with the fans.
Oh, I bet you're a big hit with the guys in the police force as well, hey?
They're always asking me what's next, and I try to encourage them to come out and watch the races, but sometimes you just have to keep a little suspense, and just let them wait and see. This Camaro was a big hit. There was a large build-up before the race because, like the aircraft that I did, the Cessna, was very well publicized in advance, and we did, like bi-weekly updates and videos, and everybody knew how the project was coming along, but this one was top secret. So when it debuted, I had an enclosed trailer, and everybody was hounding me about, give us clues what's in the trailer. We had a lot of build-up prior to the race, and I had to make them all wait for the debut, and so it was a very, very big unveiling, and it was a big hit.
Sergeant Jeff Bloch, thanks so much for joining us, also known as Speedy Cop, hailing all the way from Maryland in the United States. And just to give you that image once again, imagine that you've got a Chevy Camaro, and it's on its head, so it's completely upside down. The wheels are in the air, and it's driving around on its head around the racetrack. How do they do it? Well, that's the body of the car, the carcass of the car, which is basically saddled onto the Ford Fiesta, which is driving in the center of that car. It's pretty crazy, and if you want to go and look at the images of it, just go online and look up either Speedy Cop or Upside Down Car.